Yo, and what is up, guys? Welcome back to the Game and Apple. Today I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on the new Stonethorn patch coming out. So I've gone through all the PTS notes, patch notes 1, 2, 3 and 4 so far, and their proposed changes, everything about that, and I'm just going to summarize that into my own PvP perspective. I'm going to pick out everything that I think is relevant and yeah, give you guys a nice brief view on what I think is coming and what is important to this new patch. Okay. So let's get right into this. So I've picked out two sets that I think are going to be quite, I'm going to keep my eye on when this new patch drops. The first one is called Elemental Catalyst. It adds a line of magic, a line of spell crit, another line of magic, and whenever you deal flame, shock or frost damage, you apply a stack of flame, shock or frost weakness to the enemy for 5 seconds. So basically each stack that you gain on per enemy gives increases their critical damage taken by 6%, and I see this like on a Mag Sorc or Mag Warden or Mag Templar, really easy to achieve. So in terms of magic burst potential and damage output, I see this as a really good set that I have to keep my eye on. Okay, now the other set is called Unleash Terror. It is a medium armor set. The first line gives weapon damage, then we get a second line of stamina, another line of stamina. Then when you deal direct damage with a charge, leap, teleport or pull ability, you cut the enemy, causing them to bleed for approximately 20,000 physical damage over the duration of 5 seconds. Now I see, and this is going to go once every 10 seconds. I am really interested to see how this works, especially with leap and with charge. If you pair this with the Maelstrom 2-hand, which applies a massive dot on them when you use charge, you could potentially be putting like between 2 dots, about 30,000 dot potential, just by using one ability. So I'm really going to be paying attention to this set. Okay. Now the next, I'm going to go over some of the skill changes. So the first one I'm going to be going over is Grave Grasp and a Necromancer. It used to basically only snare and immobilize the enemies. Now with the first, with its 3 areas. Now the first area will have a reduced snare, so down to 30% from 50%, okay, so a nerf. But then the second snare now immobilizes them, and the third snare stuns them. Now, and they all continue to apply minor maim. Now the reason I really like this is, from a support perspective, you can kind of tell who you're going to stun, immobilize and snare, so it gives you that option based on your distance to them. And I really like this from a support perspective for Necromancer. Okay, now we're going on to Shadow Cloak, Nightblade. This was really annoying when you use detection pots and you can see the enemy because you've detected them, but because they're still using the cloak ability, you can't actually hit them sometimes and it bugs out. So they're saying they've fixed that, so we'll see. We'll see if they actually fix it. I hope to God that they have fixed it, because yeah, this is super annoying. So yeah, hoping for the best there. Okay, and now on to Stonethorn. Stonethorn is getting a stamina version of Crystal Frags. It is calling Crystal Blast, the Crystal Blast most, and yeah, it's right there for you guys to see. And I am just really happy that they're getting a stamina morph. Like, Stamina Sorc needs some love. They have got sorcerers have great passives, but in terms of utility for Stamina Sorc, they are really lacking. So this is really nice to see. Okay. Now the big things I want to be talking about, in my opinion, are the traits. So Divines is going up to 9.1%, up from 7.5%. So they've buffed it yet again. So yeah, I'm very happy to see how this goes. Then Impen is getting nerfed again. I'm not going to be using Impen next patch, guys. I only use cheap pieces this patch. They're nerfing Impen again. I'm not using it next patch. That's one big thing I want to highlight. No Impen. Infuse is going up, cool. Not too sure if I'll be using that, to be honest. Invigorating, no, not for me. Nirnhound, now that was interesting. I tried to make this work this patch, but I still ran Impen over it. So maybe Nirnhound on some builds. I still don't see that being used, but it's worth it. Then Well Fitted's getting a nice little buff, so we'll take that. The way I see it, next patch it'll be 3 Well Fitted, 2 reinforced on the chest and legs, and then I'll be using 2 Divines instead of my 2 Impen. Okay. Right. Now on to weapon traits. The big thing I want to note about weapon traits is the defending and sharpened buff. So they are increasing, so per weapon, so just from one sword, just from like a one piece, like a one sword, you get now 3,276 from defending. So if you put two of them together, so using a two-handed or two dual-wield both defending, you're getting about 6,500 resistances, which is phenomenal. So I am really looking forward to that. We can move away from everybody using sword and board, and my dual-wield stem DK build is going to become much stronger. So I'm very happy about that. And now they are buffing sharpened again. They nerfed this before, they halved it, but now it looks like they're going back on that change that they made a few years ago. And yeah, they're doubling it again. So sharpened's going back up to 2,752 per weapon. So that's about 5,400, 5,500 for a two-piece. So I don't see Nirnhound being used next patch, guys. And Nirnhound's going out that window for me. So yeah, we're back on that sharpened defending kind of meta train, definitely. And then yeah, Precise is getting it's a buff. Yeah, buff. Sorry, just reading this from my phone. Okay, then we're going on across to Jury. So I want you guys to ignore Bloodthirsty in this one because they have updated this. But Arcane's getting a slight buff. Harmony is getting a nerf, so those massive... This is going to be the biggest thing on Necromancers that are using that massive synergy. I don't think that this 15% will have too much of an impact on those builds, but it's a nerf nonetheless. And then we're going to see a little buff for Swift going up from 6% to 7%, which is nice to see because honestly it could be up to 10% and not make much of an impact. Tribune, yeah, decent changes. But the main thing I wanted to note was the harmony in this screenshot. And now if we go to the next one, Bloodthirsty. So they've increased the weapon and damage bonus from this trait, and it grants now 350 up to 350 weapon and spell damage per trait against low target enemies. So as it goes from 100% health all the way down to nothing, and the lower they get, the more weapon and spell damage you get against them. In duels, I can see people using 3 pieces of this. This is going to be very powerful in duels, like 1v1 situation. I can see this becoming actually meta. But in Cyrodiil, I don't see this being a huge shift, because obviously it's per target, it doesn't apply to your healing or anything like that. So I'll be using 1 piece of this just to test out, because it'll just be like an add to an execute. That'd be really nice with dot pressure for sure, especially if healing reduced this patch. But yeah, I won't be running 3 pieces of this, but definitely interesting change for sure. Okay, now another big one that I want to note is the Atronach and Serpent. So the recoveries increase the recovery bonus up to 310 for magic and magic recovery and stamina recovery up from 238. Now this is really important to notice because a lot of people have been going between Warrior and the Serpent in terms of weapon damage and stamina recovery. Pardon me guys, sorry about that. But yeah, I don't see that being the case anymore. I think stamina recovery or magic recovery is going to be the way to go. And especially now we can use more Divines, because Divines is getting a buff and Impen's getting nerfed. I can really see us working into this 310 bonus, and even so, I can actually see myself dropping out of Eternal Vigor next patch, guys, because I use Eternal Vigor mainly for the stamina recovery. So if I can fit this in, yeah, maybe Eternal Vigor isn't needed, and we can fit in that big crazy leap cut into the build. So that's just a thought, but it's definitely interesting. And then the rest of them are kind of minor changes. We get another notable one, the Ritual, they're decreasing healing again, and then the Shadow, you now get crit healing. So yeah, that's definitely interesting. Now the main set, they're changing about literally 100 sets, but and I'm sure you guys have already seen them and gone through them, but I'm going to note one set, and this is Black Rose. Now Black Rose has been really underrated for the last 2-3 years after it had a massive nerf through the Constitution passive and through its own ability as a 5th piece. What I have to say about this is that this used to be one of the most overpowered sets in the game, because of just the combination. You got so much resources back and you just use 7-piece heavy. And yeah, I haven't seen any changes to the set in years. So with broken sets like these that have been nerfed into the ground, any changes that they make, you got to pay close attention to, guys. That's the only thing I want to note. I don't think it'll be amazing next patch, but I do think in the future, if they keep making changes, this is a set to look out for. Okay, that's enough about Black Rose. Right, now the tests. The tests. Ugh, God. I gotta hate this. Right. Test number 1. Shared global AoE cooldown. So 3-second timer. This test adds a 3-second global shared cooldown to any AoE ability. This means that when you cast an AoE, you will not be able to cast another for 3 seconds. For example, if you're a Templar and you cast Ritual or Retribution, you won't be able to use sweeps. That's bloody ridiculous. Number 1, I spit on you. I spit on you. Absolute rubbish. The fact they're even thinking about this, guys, is garbage. Absolute garbage. I can't. Test 2. Individual AoE cooldown. So 3-second timer. This test adds an individual AoE cooldown to each AoE ability. This means when you cast an AoE, you will not be able to cast the AoE ability for another 3 seconds. So if I cast sweeps, I won't be able to cast sweeps again for another 3 seconds. That is better than number 1, for sure. But still, I just don't. Why? The PvP is working fine as it is in terms of abilities. Like, abilities are in a good spot at the moment. I don't see why they're making these changes. Well, I know why they're making the change. They're making the changes so that they can reduce lag, and I will get to that at the end when I've gone through all these tests and why I am really against these tests. Okay, so number 3, a global ramping AoE cost. This test adds global ramping AoE cost for each AoE cast. And works like streak or roll dodge. The reason why I'm completely against this is because on a say for a mag DK, for example, when you are just trying to use AoE after AoE, because a mag DK really works in crowd control very, very well, and that's how it gets its damage. Mag DK sustain is hard enough as it is. They need buffs to their sustain. I use mag DK as an example because they need some buffs on cost reduction. And if they use this, you're just gonna... Mag DK won't work. And a lot of other sets and other classes and builds just won't work because they won't be able to afford it. It's ridiculous. Now test number 4. What is it? So individual AoE cooldown for 3 seconds. This test adds an individual AoE cooldown to each ability, as in test 2, but also combines the global ramping contains 3. Did I read that wrong? Global ramping. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I still don't like this. So you get a 3-second cooldown and you get ramping. No. It's like saying you gotta wait 3 seconds and then use it, but it's got a 5-second cooldown on the ramping. I mean, so you wait 3 seconds, but then you gotta wait another 2 seconds for it to go off. Otherwise, you're wasting your sustain. It's rubbish. Absolute rubbish, guys. I don't like any of these tests. I'm so happy that we're not having to test them on PS4 or Xbox, because I feel bad for PC having to actually have these in the live server, because I wouldn't play. I'm not playing with this shit. Seriously, mind my language, guys, but this is absolute fucking garbage. Yeah, they during the double AP event, I heard from a lot of sources, not on PlayStation or Xbox, but on PC, where a lot of their play bases, they invested in new external servers, just temporary servers, during the event to manage the increased capacity in Cyrodiil, and the servers worked over there fine for the event because they bought new servers. So any lag, delay, anything like that, it worked perfectly fine. So I don't see the need. Pardon me, sorry guys. Yeah, I don't see the need for them to come at us with a compromise when they could just pay for better servers. That's all they're saying. They're saying we're not good enough for them as long-term players. They're saying that they just want to make it more noob-friendly to the players who are actually coming into the game, and I don't like this. Is a slippery slope. I don't like this, because if they start changing the combat and if they continue not to focus or give respect or love to the PvP community or to the old players, I just No, I can't see people agreeing with this. I don't agree with this. This is awful. Just invest in your bloody servers. Seriously, guys, invest in your servers. This won't. People say, "Oh, it hurt their bottom line." You know, they got to think about from their perspective. They got to pay money. Fuck that, guys. Seriously, they make enough money from us, through ESO Plus, through Crown Stores, to be able to bloody afford these new servers. Seriously, it won't affect them. That's what they need to do, and yeah, we shouldn't be compromising for this. We pay enough. We pay enough. But overall, I am looking forward to the changes to Stonethorn, guys. There are some new cool sets, the changes to traits. I'm interested by what's going to happen. But if any of these tests go through, this is a really slippery slope, and I want them to fix the conditions in PvP for sure. But this is not the right way to go about this. If you guys want to hear more about this kind of stuff, Christopher goes into great detail about this. But yeah, this is a bit of a rant for me, kind of a different type of video. I've been working over in NA the last few days. I'm CP 100 now, so I haven't been able to record much gameplay, so I thought I'd give this a go. But without any further ado, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this was somewhat informational for you guys. And yeah, make sure to smash that like button, drop a comment because I'd love to know what you guys think, and subscribe to stay up with all my latest content here at The Gaming Apple. Catch you later, guys. Bye.